We get it, Julia. You're inconsistent and you need to film everything at once. Let me be fake. It's fine.
Let's meet at the library. Okay.
Hey everyone, it's Julia and welcome to my channel, Shakespeare and Such. So today I'm really excited to make this video because it's one that's been in my brain for a while, and I'm sure people, when they hear me talk about the books I've read, they're like, why are you dumb with giving like decimal point stars to books? It doesn't matter. It's not that deep. Let's just be simple about this. 5 stars, 4, 3, 2, 1, pick one. Here's the thing. I've finally gotten my book rating system down to a science, and I'm very pleased with it. So today I just wanted to explain to you all how I rate books and why my ratings sometimes seem so random. So before I developed, that sounds so fancy. So before I started using the current 5-star scale that I used, my ratings were generally based on how I felt coming out of the book. So if I finished the book and I was like, yeah, I liked it, it was like, oh my God. If I came out of a book feeling great, I'd be like, sure, 5 stars. But then I realized I was having a lot of books that had the same rating that I didn't feel the same way about. So for example, like The Raven Boys, I gave 5 stars, and The School for Good and Evil, I gave 5 stars. Based on my feelings alone, like The School for Good and Evil is here, and The Raven Boys is like here. At the time, both of those ratings sounded great to me, but when I think about it now, do I remember The Raven Boys that much? No. Did I jump right into the sequel because I was so excited? So really, it's probably more of like a 4-star, maybe 3 point something. So here's what I did. So I decided to base my book ratings on 5 different criteria, and I go through the list giving a 5-star rating for each one, and then I find the average of those, which gives me my overall book rating. So the first thing that I always consider is the plot. What is the general story about? Do I like that? Do I like where the author took the story? So a perfect 5 out of 5 for plot means that the writer had an excellent concept and they executed it beautifully. If you lose points for me in plot, it could mean that it was a great story, but I didn't like how they ended it, or perhaps there was just like a part I felt could have been cut out completely. Usually it's the former. But that one's pretty simple. I mean, like, I'm gonna say probably like 8 out of 10 times I give 5 for 5 out of plot, because I mean, if I don't like what the story's about, it's not a book I would have picked up. The next thing that I consider are the characters. What did I think of them? Was I concerned with what was happening to them? Did I feel any attachment? Did I cry at any points? Were they fleshed out? Were they actual people seemingly and not just caricatures? That's a big thing for me. So 5 out of 5 for characters doesn't necessarily mean like I loved every character and golly, it was great. But it just means that the characters had depth to them. So for example, if we look at the Red Queen series, there are characters I really don't care for at all, or characters that I think are awful people. I'm not gonna name names, but if you read it, you know. But I still give 5 out of 5 for characters in that book because I think they're a very interesting group of characters and that Victoria Aveyard takes the time to develop them. So then the third thing I think about is the pacing of the book. This is separate from the plot and, spoiler, the writing. That's what's coming up. Because it just means, hey, was I like ever bored? Pretty much. Or it kind of also ties back into, was there anything that should have been cut out? Generally, pacing is pretty hit or miss. It's like, you did great, or why was this story all over the place? So I felt that was important to consider, and I didn't want to lump it in with writing because I wanted writing to be more about author's craft and less about like technical writing. So yes, that leads us to the 4th piece of criteria, which is the writing. Was the author a good writer? Like, did the author use beautiful words? Did they write things well? these are the questions I'm asking. So this is actually a pretty easy category to lose points in because 5 out of 5 means, wow, like I just want to quote this book to everybody. So 5 out of 5 for writing is like Jane Steele and Fahrenheit 451 and Shakespeare. Whereas an average book that I probably really enjoy but wouldn't go around saying, oh my god, listen to this passage, would be 3 stars, maybe 2.5 if I'm not feeling generous. So this is where a lot of books kind of lose points, but it's not because they're bad books, it's just because the writing was nothing spectacular. Finally, the very last thing that I consider on my rating scale is just my enjoyment. So this is kind of how I used to rate my books, is this last piece of the puzzle now. Basically, when I close the book, am I in love with it? Is 5 stars. Am I going to donate it? It's a 1 or a 2 star for enjoyment. It's that simple. It's just what I'm feeling. This one's very subjective, and that's another reason why I liked changing my scale, is because it made my ratings slightly more objective. Can a rating ever be objective? Probably not, but it helps. Alrighty, I think I just touched on everything. I hope this video cleared up some questions you might have had about how I rate books and why my ratings are always very oddly specific. You will notice if you follow me on Goodreads that when I actually take the time to write a review for books, oftentimes it doesn't happen, sorry. When I do write reviews for my books, I break them down and show where they lost points and specifically back that up with evidence and how I feel. So, for example, instead of just writing 3.75 out of 5 stars, I then say plot, 5 out of 5 stars, characters, 2 out of 5 stars, and I just go down the list supporting each of those. So, yes. And that, I think, is everything. I would be very intrigued to know how you all rate your books, if you have some oddly specific system like I do, or if you just go by the feeling method, or if you don't use a 5-star scale. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways people talk about books, so it'd be cool to hear about it. I love talking to people, so please leave a comment down below, subscribe if you're so inclined, maybe check out an old video, and you will be seeing more of me soon. Bye!